U.S. President Donald Trump, known for his unwavering support of Israel, is firmly opposing the Israeli Prime Minister's move to annex the occupied West Bank. In what can be called rare alignment with Palestinian concerns, the American president is warning Israel to not cross the red line. Israel's parliament, in fact, has taken its first legislative step towards formally annexing the occupied West Bank, a territory Palestinians claim for their future state. Two controversial bills, both aimed at extending Israeli law to the region, passed their preliminary votes in the parliament by razor-thin margins, 25 in favor, 24 against, marking the first of 4 votes needed to enact the bills. A second bill introduced by the opposition lawmakers sought to annex the Male Adumim settlement. In fact, it's a major block located near Jerusalem, passed more comfortably with 31 votes to 9. But the political jolts came from Washington. Trump, once hailed in Israel for recognizing Jerusalem as its capital, has taken a sharp turn. Just weeks ago, remember, his position was that the United States would block any Israeli attempt to annex the occupied West Bank. In fact, in an October 15 interview, which was published by Time magazine earlier today, Trump warned that Israel would lose all of its support from the United States if it annexed the occupied West Bank. His vice president, in fact, visiting Israel as the votes took place, called the Israeli parliament's vote on West Bank annexation as a quote-unquote political stunt.
Look, if it was a political stunt, it was a very stupid political stunt, and I personally take some insult to it. The West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel. The policy of the Trump administration is that the West Bank will not be annexed by Israel. That will continue to be our policy. And if people want to take symbolic votes, they can do that. But we certainly weren't happy about it.
The U.S. Secretary of State echoing that concern, saying the Trump administration does not support Israel's annexation push. He cautioned that pressing ahead could threaten the Gaza peace deal and destabilize the fragile ceasefire. And just a short while back, Rubio arrived in Israel to support Trump's Gaza peace plan. Amid all of this, the number of fatalities continuing to rise on the ground in Gaza. According to Gaza's Ministry of Health, in the last 24 hours, 14 bodies arrived at hospitals. Almost all of them were recovered from the rubble. In a statement on social media, Hamas accused Israel of deliberately enforcing a media blackout in Gaza. After Israel's Supreme Court delayed hearing on media access to Gaza by 30 more days. Across the Arab world, condemnation against the West Bank bills poured in. Qatar called it an illegal attempt to impose sovereignty over occupied land. Saudi Arabia described the move as a grave violation, reaffirming its support for a Palestinian state along the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. Jordan labeled the bills a blatant breach of international law and a blow to the two-state solution. Netanyahu's own party did not sponsor the annexation bills. In a statement, Netanyahu's office tried to distance itself by stating that vote on the West Bank annexation bills is deliberate provocation by the opposition. But it's important to note here and point out that several far-right lawmakers from Netanyahu's coalition voted in favor of the bills. And the bills now face a long legislative journey before becoming law. But the symbolism is powerful, to say the least. Israel insists the lands captured in the 1967 Six-Day War are disputed, not occupied, a claim rejected by nearly every major country and the UN itself. Even the UAE, one of the few Arab states to normalize ties with Israel under the Trump-brokered Abraham Accords, has drawn a line. Abu Dhabi warned last month that any move to annex the West Bank would be a red line that could undo years of delicate diplomacy. The tensions have flared amid a surge in settler attacks against Palestinians. A recent video showed Israeli settlers allegedly assaulting Palestinian olive harvesters in the occupied West Bank, sparking outrage and renewing fears that violence could spiral. With Trump now, in a way, siding against Netanyahu's annexation push, the stakes in West Asia continue to remain high. Shifting focus for now, the Indian Army is set to undergo a significant transformation with the introduction of pair of battalions and Ashni drone platoons. The first pair of battalion is scheduled for deployment on November 1, as confirmed by the Director General of Infantry. A total of 25 pair of battalions are planned to be raised within the next 6 months. Each battalion will consist of 250 personnel from various branches, including infantry, artillery, signals, and air defense. These units are designed to bridge the gap between special forces and regular infantry, focusing on rapid, high-impact operations along India's borders with China and Pakistan. In addition to the pair of battalions, the Indian Army is also raising Ashni platoons in its infantry units, which will be responsible for drone operations. These drones will be used for surveillance, loitering munitions, and kamikaze missions, enhancing the Army's operational capabilities. With 380 Ashni platoons already operational, the Army is advancing its drone warfare capabilities. The Indian Army is also preparing to place a substantial order for anti-tank guided missiles. All of this marking notable developments in the use of indigenous weapon systems. 6,000 American troops, 8 warships, 1 submarine, B-52 bombers, fighter jets, choppers circling overhead. Is this preparation for war? Is this the largest U.S. military build-up in the Caribbean since the Cold War ended? Trump calls it counter-narcotics. Maduro calls it invasion. The Caribbean is becoming a powder keg, and every day the pressure is only mounting. The question still is Trump ready to attack Venezuela?
A storm is brewing in the Caribbean. More than 6,000 US sailors and Marines have moved into striking range of Venezuela in one of the largest American military deployments in the region since the Cold War. The Pentagon insists it's a counter-narcotics mission, but with stealth fighters prowling the skies and guided missile destroyers patrolling the waters, few believe it ends there. There are 8 warships in the Caribbean Sea. Among them are 3 assault ships and 3 destroyers. Along with that are Harrier jets and choppers. Again, near Cuba in Puerto Rico, there is an entire squadron of F-35 fighter jets. The Reaper drones patrol the skies. Apart from these, there is an attack submarine and B-52 bombers in the region. Washington's goal was clear: cripple the alleged drug trafficking pipeline from Venezuela. The operational zone became a kill zone for smugglers. At least 8 vessels suspected of carrying narcotics towards the US have already been destroyed in kinetic strikes. But Venezuela was not silent. Facing the colossal offshore deployment, President Nicolas Maduro struck back with a defiant, chilling announcement.
This simulation equipment puts us in a position for good aim with thousands of Igla-S operators that we have in every mountain, every village, every city that you can imagine in Venezuelan territory, from north to south, from east to west, which must be an impregnable homeland. Let no one mess with Venezuela, because we don't mess with anyone.
The standoff now feels electric. US Navy radar screens are alive with Venezuelan blips. Russian-supplied missile systems hum in the jungles near Caracas. Both sides claim they don't want war, yet both keep loading their guns. Bureau Report WION World is One.